Welcome, my friends, to the Wednesday stream at 10 a.m. Today, we're talking about the worst movies of 2023, and there is a lot. At first, I thought the title was going to be the top 10 worst movies of 2023, but in reality, there are so many more than 10, it'd be very difficult. So we're just going to talk about our worst movies of this year. Shane, how you doing today, brother?
Good. Merry Christmas. I know. Happy New Year. Wait, no, we're not there yet. Merry Christmas. Hopefully you had a good Christmas.
Happy holidays is all encompassing.
Who cares? Who gives a shit? I celebrate Christmas. Okay.
There you go.
Listen, you can celebrate anything you want. You can celebrate Festivus or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, and God bless you all for it. But this is the gift I got for Christmas here. You see my hat, right?
Oh, your boss hat.
So it's actually really...
You're like the boss level.
So this is like a really funny story because I told my wife just in passing, I noticed I got this Donkey Kong hat and I got a few hats that I realized I kind of like to wear. And I just told her in passing, I'm like, and this was like, I don't know, like December 20th. I'm like, in the future, and I wasn't even thinking about Christmas. In the future, if you ever want to get me a gift, I'm kind of digging these hats right now. And she kind of made this weird sound. I didn't think nothing of it. And then I opened up this gift Christmas morning. And she's like, thanks for giving me 4 days to get you this gift. And I'm like, oh, no, I just meant like in the future. And I said, so let me ask you a question. Does this mean I'm boss of the house? And she just looked at me and said, no, you can be boss everywhere else, but not in the house. No. So I'm wearing it on the stream, baby.
Yeah, I got a lot of underwear and I would love to show you guys, but I think it would demonetize us. So
when has that stopped you in the past?
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, we are talking about... we hope you guys had a great Christmas. Hope you spent it with family and friends and just took some time off. That's always a good thing about Christmas. We are talking about, like I said, the worst movies of this year, and there's a whole hubbub going on right now about not talking about the worst. Only talk about the best, you guys. People put a lot of effort into these movies. We can't talk about how bad they are. Well, yes, we can.
I find it interesting that when people go on Twitter and they're like, shaming people for having movie lists, like people have been judging art since the beginning of time. I'm sure those first cave paintings, some caveman came along and took a giant piss on somebody's cave painting and said, I don't like this. And so art is subjective, and that's why everybody has a different list. And I think it's more interesting. And also, I think it's important to say that just because a movie is a bad movie doesn't mean that everybody on that movie or everybody who made that movie is a jerk or is a terrible person or is awful at their craft. So there's tons of people who work on movies, they get paid to work on movies, and it's really a reflection of the director, the producers, the actors, not typically the people who are the gaffers, the people who are manning cameras and taking care of
craft services, right?
Yeah. So just note, all of you people, keep doing what you do. And even the people who made bad movies, you need bad movies. I mean, you do, because you can't have good movies without bad movies. If every movie was great, then all movies would be meh.
Listen, right? Yeah, if you're watching this and a movie you worked on is on the worst movie of the year list, and you were like the guy with craft service tables, this is not we're not criticizing you. I'm sure you put out some awesome fruit and nuts and various non-gluten offerings, but we are going to be talking about the movies that are bad. And there was a lot this year. A lot of bad movies.
There were a ton. Most of the movies were bad, which is weird. Well, there were some good ones, though. Speaking of some good ones, just really quick before we go into the bad list, I did see Ferrari and the Iron Claw last night. And I went to backed them up. I said, listen, we're just going to knock these out. Because Friday, we're doing the best movies of 2023. So I wanted to make sure that was out of the way and I wouldn't have a chance. So I got to tell you guys, Ferrari, definitely get out there if you guys want to see it. It's a solid movie. Some really great acting in that movie. And it's an interesting story if you've never followed the Ferrari thing. But the Iron Claw, that movie will rip your guts out. So I'm just telling you, it was so gut wrenching and awesome of a movie that they had to leave out one of the brothers because they just couldn't put that much tragedy in a movie. That's how crazy it is. So I guess you guys get out there and see those good movies.
Really good. Check it out. Also, don't forget, top left of the screen, we have the Stream Hero. And if you would like to be part of that Stream Hero, all you got to do is donate in some way, either it's super chats or tips or whatever you do, memberships, etc. And it knocks the health off of us, and then you will take its place. And the person that's out there the longest gets our mystery shirt this week.
Awesome. Today. Well done. Yes.
Okay, and what else are we talking about? Oh, also the Paramount Max merger. I thought that was interesting. We're going to briefly touch on that.
The rumors, whatever it is.
And the rumors, and of course, Weekly Weird.
All right. Sounds like a packed Wednesday. 2 more shows left in the year, and then we get this going. So,
all right. Well, let's start. Let's start with our list here. I'm going to pull up your spreadsheet.
No, you don't have it. It's different.
Oh, you updated it.
I updated it. You want it?
Yeah, slack it over.
I'm just going to give you the last. Well, you can't. How are you going to pull them up? I don't want you to show the whole list.
Okay.
Needs to be a surprise.
Well, I'll just pull them up one at a time.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, let me send it over to you.
Oh, so you updated it. Uh-oh, here we go.
I did. I went through the list after watching those 2 movies last night. That's why I was up till like 3 a.m. And I was like, I want to make sure my list is accurate, because what happens is sometimes you're making this list on the fly, but you got to go back and compare and be like, which of these, do the movies real feel like looking at Blue Beetle and The Pope's Exorcist, was this one accidentally on top of the other one? You know what I mean? So you had to go through and kind of, I had to adjust them a little bit.
And while you're doing that, I think it's funny that these are great. Archmage. Paramax, Max Mount. Yeah.
Max Mount. I like that one.
It's funny because Discovery came in, they just started eating up streaming services left and right. And what would that mean for Star Trek if they just bought Paramount? That would be a huge.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen either.
It's going to be a merger. It won't be a purchase. So we'll talk about it, but it won't be an actual I'm buying you. It'll be a merger of some sort.
Got it. Okay.
All right.
So remember, guys, this is Shane's list, and while I probably agree with most of it,
the ones on the bottom.
Right, the ones on the bottom. Right.
The worst movie is on the bottom. Okay.
All right, we're starting with Asteroid City.
No, the worst one is on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bottom.
You don't do the worst one first. That's the save.
Oh, you want to start at the top? I see.
Number 10, number 9, number 8.
I don't totally agree with this one, but I'm gonna put it on.
It doesn't matter if you agree. This is not a Shane and Brian. I told you to make your own list.
Yeah, I don't agree with this one, but it's pretty high up there. So, all right, number 10 of our worst movies of the year is Totally Killer.
Totally Killer, the Amazon original. You know what I've learned about Amazon originals? They're just not very good. Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Really? You think? Oh, I know you don't. I know you like this movie.
No, I mean, I don't like it, but I don't think it was one of the worst. And I've seen some Amazon originals that are pretty good. What was it called? Perception or whatever, or Peripheral, whatever.
Well, that's a show. I'm talking about
that's true.
Movies.
That's true.
And Peripheral was only good for part of the first season, and then it completely fell off. So I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it sort of peaked when all those when all of her brothers were when you thought they were just a bunch of rednecks, and all of a sudden they're they turn into an ultra elite unit, and they're tapping their arms, and they just start taking out fools left and right. That was so sweet.
That was cool.
Yeah, it did peak at that moment though. You're like, oh, so this was the best you had, and we're halfway through. Okay.
Well, just so you know, the movie Totally Killer. It's not that it's a bad movie completely. It's just that I think for our generation, it was not a good movie. So this was a Back to the Future kind of ripoff. The problem I had with it, it was so filled with teenage language and corniness that it just didn't really speak to me. The premise of the movie basically is a Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after the first murder spree to claim another victim, a 17-year-old whose mother had been killed, right, when she was a kid or something like that. or somebody, but yeah, something.
Well,
like
not
that.
her mother. Yeah, her mother's friends, and it had totally changed her life because her mother, acted, and was traumatized by the incident.
Yeah, and I think what bugged me most about the movie, the sci-fi element was interesting, even if it made absolutely zero sense.
The quantum drop.
Yeah.
Like the 16-year-old that made a time machine out of a photo booth. I'm like,
that just kind of hung out there.
It was so casual too. She's like, for my science fair, I made a time machine out of a photo booth,
right?
And I can't get it to work. And like the way they got it to work, sorry, spoilers, guys, is like the killer, like the new killer, stabs his knife through the console, and I guess it like connects.
Made something happen.
It makes some kind of like metal connection that fixes it, and you're like, the time machine was not believable whatsoever.
And
they tried to like sweep it up with like the fact that her mom was also working on time travel her whole life, but they didn't make that very clear. Like it wasn't very clear that her mom was like a physicist, and like I don't know, the time travel thing was real thin, boys.
Yeah, it was just not good, and the killer was bad and kind of corny, and I feel like they could have overpowered that killer. The face they picked was like, look at this face back there. Like it wasn't scary at all.
It looks like Max Headroom a little bit.
Well, that Max Headroom or some sort of, they got the earring right for the 80s, some George Michael's earring or something like that. So yeah, I would just say this was number 10. If you already have Amazon Prime and you have nothing else to do, I guess you could watch it and laugh at it. But yeah,
there's definitely fun parts in it. And to be fair, time travel is always hit or miss. So like if a time travel movie is at best entertaining, like it's good enough, I guess.
And to give you some context, the 3 movies that were just off of the list that didn't make it were The Haunted Mansion, The Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, and Creed 3 were the 3 movies that didn't make it. So that was my number 10.
I'm bummed out that Creed 3 didn't make it.
Creed 3 wasn't a very good movie. It was, they just keep taking it to another. It just didn't do nothing for me. So it didn't elevate the franchise at all.
And next we're gonna get like Creed in Vietnam.
It's like, and I'm not sure how I feel about Michael B. Jordan, to be honest with you.
Creed's gonna slowly turn into like another Fast and Furious, franchise.
No, we'll be talking about that soon. I'm sure.
I'm sure we will. All right, next up on the list, and this was actually Shane's favorite movie of the year, but he's totally fronting right now, was Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Number 9 on our list. Number 9 out of 10. Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
You know what's a shame is when I look at this picture and I see this girl's face in the upper left-hand corner, I just can't help but having a gut reaction to how disgusting she's been on social media all year.
Right.
And she wasn't even really that bad in this movie. But Shazam! Fury of the Gods, this is one of those movies that was really disappointing because we were really anticipating this movie being good. We were pretty excited about this movie coming out, right? Because the first Shazam movie had been good.
Yeah, we really liked the first Shazam movie, and I really like Zachary Levi. I think he's awesome. I think he's a really good actor. I think he's fun. I think he's very charming. And he wasn't the problem in this movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody. So the problem in the movie was really, I guess, the director or who made the decision on the storytelling. The problem was the Billy Batson character, and I think we've talked about this before. But the Billy Batson character was more mature than the Shazam character.
Yeah, way more mature.
And it really took you out of the movie. So every time it would go back to Billy Batson, you just there was this disconnect that you felt like the movie didn't make a lot of sense. Like, how could the kid be more mature? It should have been the same kid. It should have been the same attitude, same. So you actually felt like you were watching 2 different characters as opposed to the same character.
Right.
And that should not be the goal of the movie.
Like the second he turned into his superhero alter ego, he became all of a sudden less mature. It was very, I realized that there was an interview where they said like the Zachary Levi and Billy Batson never, the actors didn't even really interact, and that was really evident that they didn't interact. Like they didn't even see each other's parts.
Yeah. So probably the only movie that Rachel Zegler didn't annoy me that from this year that she was in, and I think also Helen Mirren did a really great job. I thought the lady bad guys were great in this movie, but overall, it just was one of the worst movies because, and also the taste the rainbow MFer line, it's I'm sitting there with my kids and I'm like, did that just really happen? Yeah,
I don't know why they had to curse. Like that was like the one curse word
like
they had.
MFer with it's a movie for kids, so I don't know.
Yeah, we're in no way are we prudes, but like
no.
Like we obviously took our children to see this children's movie, and like 78% way of the way through it, all of a sudden you drop mother effer.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, oh,
and it was a little black girl who delivered the line with glee. So it was just kind of weird.
Yeah, it was
one of those cringe moments in movies where you're like, oh, did that really happen?
Yeah, had to do it. Okay. This next movie, and we're on, just so you guys know, we're on numero
number 8.
I had to count down.
Numero.
We're on number 8. In this movie, I completely agree with you. I finally watched it. So I'm not trying to bury the lead here, but look, we were going to review this movie, and Shane messaged me because he went to go see it first. He goes, don't waste your money. Don't waste your money on this movie. Don't bother. It's not worth talking about, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't watch it. Now, I did eventually see it. Not in the theater.
John Wick.
And it's funny because I really like this actor, but yes, Shane was completely right on this one. This deserves number 8. Silent Night. And the biggest problem with this movie is there is no dialogue.
There's no one speaks. There's no dialogue.
It is such a bad idea. Why would we do this? Like, this is when art gets it's a little too much. I get it. It's Silent Night, but like, it's not that clever to have no talking. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and this actor is a really great actor. Joel Kinnaman. The thing is like he's really good. He's in For All Mankind and on the Apple TV show. And I got to tell you, he's fantastic, and his dialogue's great. So you needed to hear some of his because basically the premise of the movie is his son is basically killed in drive-by shooting, and he decides he's going to get revenge on all of the the bad guys, which is cool. But you need some sort of one-liners and dialogue. Movies like this need people walking around going, shoot to kill, or survive this one. There needs to be
something. They need some dialogue. Also, like being forced to read in very quick sort of snippets at certain moments. Like you blink and you can miss something important. It's just not literally blink and you're like, oh, blink. Oh, what? Wait, what? That doesn't. It wasn't. This was not a good movie. And that was the reason. It was not a good movie because of that reason. Like the premise is cool, the actors are cool. The idea of this could have been really rad, but you made an artistic decision that ultimately wrecked it for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you got to see it finally so we could
And there's nothing else to say about it because there was no dialogue to even talk about.
I mean, it's from the producer of John Wick. The director's John Woo, so you're going to get good action, and the action was great. It just was a little corny. So
yeah. All right, number 7 on our list, and some of you guys are not going to agree with us on this one, but you know what? That's okay.
Yeah, because that's a good point. Because this movie could have been the number 1 movie of the year easily, but it ended up becoming one of the worst movies of the year because part of being a great movie is when you're sitting through it and you're enjoying it, you have to be able to, say to yourself, wow, this is like having this emotional effect. This movie is making me feel either good or sad or, there's some sort of emotion. The one you don't want to feel is hate, and not hate towards the characters or hate towards, you can hate the character and that's good, but when you hate the director or you hate the people who made choices for this movie, then it makes it a bad movie. So, in my opinion.
And here we go, number 7, Barbie.
Yeah. Well, and it's a real shame because I think we've talked about this before. It's cinematically extremely well-made movie. The acting is phenomenal. The visuals are incredible. The music's good. It's fun. But they just took a giant dump on men. Completely took a giant dump on dudes and trying to put them in their place. I say, look, let's all share in running the world. But no, only women can run the world. So
yeah. Also, this movie wrecked our Prime channel for like a few months. So,
oh yeah, this was taking a stand on things has its costs, and we definitely got hit in the ass on this one.
So. Yeah, so it's interesting. My wife and I finally watched it together, and my wife didn't even really like it. I thought it was really funny. Like, there's this moment where, like, the Alan character, Alan is sort of like a Ken, but he's not a Ken. He's like a feminized version of a Ken.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty funny.
And at one point, so remember, Ken takes over Barbie Land in like a day.
Yeah.
He just takes over. Everyone's thrilled. Even the Barbies are super happy. Everyone's very happy with the new way it is. Except for Alan, who is like the typical like blue-haired leftist liberal guy who's got to get out of there. And they meet him on the road, and like his solution to the problem is building a wall.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, there's a video. If you haven't seen it, if you ever want to watch it, I think is it a members section? It's a members only video now, I think.
Yeah, we had to make it members only because we were getting destroyed in our monetization. So
it shows you what a world we live in when, it just seems so obvious. Like when you target, any group of people, and I understand that white dudes have pretty much ran the world for a long, long time, but I was raised that everybody's equal, period. That's the way I was raised. Not that white guys are in charge, but that everybody's equal. So when it's unequal, it tends to bother me. And this movie greatly goes through great lengths to basically say men in Barbie Land will never be in charge until women are in. I don't know. It's such a weird thing, but there's a whole thing on it. You can watch it.
Oh, and I know the way they did it too was like, it's akin to like emotional abuse. The way they manipulated, like the Kens, like they need to help and be helpful.
Right.
So like they used their good-natured, helpfulness against them to emotionally manipulate them. And I'm like,
and basically they're stupid. All the kids are stupid.
These are supposed to be the good guys, and like they're looking like the bad guys right now the whole time.
Yeah.
It's a very silly movie.
So that was number 7. It could have been worse, but sometimes you can overcome bad messaging with good visuals, and that's what Barbie did. But these other movies that are coming up, they just couldn't get out of their own way. So what do we have for number 6?
Number 6, and this is this is one of my most disappointing movies, because I like the actor and I like science fiction. This was a little movie called 65,
which kind of is a dumb name for a movie.
Yeah,
like 65 million years ago would have been way better.
Really bad name for a movie because 65 is it's a bad title. Like, you could have called it anything else. Like, you need to have some kind of allusion to what it is. But 65 is so far away.
Well, they were trying to trick you by saying 65. But the trailer completely gives away what it is. So it's like, make up your mind. Are you trying to trick people in having a good time at the movie? Or, because we all showed up, knew it was basically he was on Earth 65 million years ago. That's what the movie was about. Right.
They also, there was a clear way they could have made this like really clever that they chose not to. And it sort of like, it got lost in like the current way all these movies work now with like protecting or whatever. It's very hard to explain that this movie, it was missing a few pieces that could have made it clever.
And a story.
In the story, really got lost in like sort of like the way we do things in 2022, 2023 with these characters.
Well, we gotta have a character, a male character taking care of a young baby female character, right, or young character. It was like this whole. It was the whole time I think we were having like Baby Yoda syndrome from The Mandalorian, and it just seemed like everything was going that way. Adam Driver, by the way, is phenomenal. He becomes Enzo Ferrari, like that. His acting in that movie is so incredible. If you guys see Ferrari. And I don't think Adam Driver's the problem here. I just don't think he had anything to work with. And there should have been some sort of, I think we talked about it before, there should have been some sort of connection that led to our society today. It would have been cool if like somehow Adam Driver's experience on Earth 65 million years ago led to our civilization today. Like that would have been cool.
That's the connection I'm talking about. Like, it was missing something that made it clever. And it just sort of felt like not really worth the time.
Yeah, they just escape. And so what was the point?
It's funny. Archmage says, so this was a remake of the Will Smith movie with his son. Yeah, it sort of felt like that a little bit.
Yeah, and that movie was bad too. Maybe even worse.
That movie was way worse.
It was so bad.
Yeah, was terrible. I'm not even going to act like that movie. What was it called? Like Above Earth? No. Planet Earth? After Earth?
You're close. After Earth.
After Earth. Yeah, and the way he said it was After Earth, and you're like, why are you saying it like that?
like you're like rolling out with a 9 Glock.
Oh yeah, that was a bad movie. You know what's funny is if you watch that movie, then watch this movie, you're like, wow, this is a really good movie.
That's how you watch it.
Really, really fantastic film. In fact, that's the best way to watch any science fiction movie. Watch After Earth first. And then watch that science fiction movie, and you're gonna love the next one.
It'll be good.
All right. So that was number 6.
Number 6, yes.
Number 6 was 65. Next up, and while I agree, by the way, that this next one is a bad movie.
Oh, do you? You finally agree?
No, of course I know it's a bad movie, but it's still fun. To watch sometimes bad movies can be fun. Let's be real.
No, sometimes bad movies can be fun. This just isn't one of them. So I also don't like the Sharknado movies. Let me just throw that out there. Okay. There has to be some sort of I have to feel like it's believable to some degree.
I'm trying to get a good movie poster.
You know what I mean?
But like they're all so
believability
stupid.
is important in a movie. Like it could happen, possibly. Guess what? This could never happen.
Look at the tagline for the second movie was "Back for Seconds." All right.
Let me tell you, I'm actually shocked that Jason Statham is in this movie. And speaking of Jason Statham, The Beekeeper's coming out, and I had some terrible things to say about it. I'm actually looking forward to The Beekeeper now after seeing the trailer.
Number 5 is Meg 2, The Trench.
Jesus Christ.
Back for Seconds.
Why is it eating this poor dog? Why is there a dog there?
So to be fair, this movie is fun to watch.
No, it's not.
It is. It's a bad movie, but it's fun to watch. It is.
Tell me something fun about it.
Just some of the stupid, most ridiculous things in it are fun. It's sort of like watching Fast and Furious, where it's like, this is so stupid.
Well, now you know why it's on my list, because you know how I feel about that. So so Meg 2, of course, Jason Statham comes back. The Megs, at least in the first Meg movie, there was like this. The way the Megs get out, the story about, the heat wave and the trench and all this stuff. Well, Meg 2, they come back and they've got this extraordinarily, they're more confident about controlling the Megs. They have the system in place. And of course, life, finds a way.
Yeah.
So,
first off, you should never be more confident about controlling the Megs. There's a few things here that don't make no sense in this movie. How did someone got down into the trench and built a whole research center down there?
Yeah. How did that all happen? That's deep. That's like the abyss level shit.
Here's the crazy part. We're the people we're following are just barely developing technology to be able to go down there and research more. And like they're finally going down there for the first time again to research this phenomenon. And there's like a whole like space station, for lack of a better word, down there. Right. Like people are and like, and of course in the most villainous way possible, like they care more about finding out, people finding out they're there than like living for some reason.
Yeah. And they're able to mine some shit down there. That's what it is. They were going to get rich basically off of what they found down there.
Yeah, whatever that was about. Yeah, so now there's multiple Megs because they more Megs get out, but also even worse things get out, and like the Megs, I guess, help them at some point, which is real weird. Of course, Jason Statham is fighting all these creatures with a jet ski and a spear, which is cool.
So yeah, so the actual like fighting portion of it is good. Like Jason Statham doing his thing, like that's totally cool.
And of course, they needed like a lot of minions to fight because every one of these movies needs minions. They need like cannon fodder for all the secondary characters to have something to do, while the main characters actually fighting the actual bad guy or monster. Okay. So they have these like little like creatures, like prehistoric like guppies.
Yes.
And like they were really gnarly, and they got up on land, and I gotta say those things were way more scary to me than the giant sharks. Because they can transcend water and land, and they're much smaller, and
that was more believable.
And they're more believable.
Yeah.
But they had those things because like you have to have smaller bad guys for like all the secondary characters to fight in all these movies. You have to have that. Like remember Avengers, you gotta have all the Shikari. You gotta have like the cannon fodder that you can blow through. Right. In Age of Ultron, you gotta have all the robots. You need like the minions, and these are the minions. And I would say arguably way more scary because how I can avoid the Megs is by not going into the ocean.
That's true. These can come on land. That's a good point. I thought the acting was atrocious in this movie.
Acting was rough.
It's one thing about having like some silly fun, like giant sharks doing shit, and I get that. Like that's okay, like to some degree. Like I get if people like sharks, sharknadoes, and sharks flying in the air and eating people. That's fine. But it's hard to get around like really horrible acting, like the girl bad guy who was trying to like bring everybody down. It just fell very flat and was kind of not very fun. And Jason Statham as an actor is difficult. Like he's a really cool, badass action star, but when he's talking, it's I don't know how to put it. It's like, all right, yeah, quit talking and get back to punching. I don't know how to say it, but
Shane is clearly being way more critical, in my opinion. I don't have a problem with Jason Statham, and I think
but I've always had a problem with Jason Statham. It's not just this movie.
That's true.
I've always had an issue with him.
That's true. Some of the acting in the movie too was off. It was also like foreign stars that were playing roles, and they were acting in what was not their native language, and you can tell that was difficult for them.
Jason Statham, I think, is great in movies where he's a part of the movie and not the whole movie's about him. Like when he's infused as a character in some of the Fast and Furious stuff, that was cool. Like the Hobbs and Shaw stuff. Like he's good in those roles. I like him there. But when the movie's completely about his character, then it seems to fall off a little bit for me.
Right. Well, speaking of, you have the transporter, the mechanic, the beekeeper. Like basically,
although the premise for the beekeeper looks really cool.
I know, but every Jason Statham movie is like, let's take a mundane job and make him a badass.
That's it. Yeah.
What's
and
next?
Then find out he was actually a secret espionage spy.
The really school teacher, the bus driver,
the bus. I swear to God, he
the crosswalk guard.
Like that, right?
Everyone.
The Walmart door greeter.
Yeah. The Walmart greeter. Like, it's Christmas and Walmart's about to get robbed. But wait, Jason Statham is the aging Walmart greeter, and he goes, "Not on my watch, friend.
Not on my watch."
The Salvation Army bell ringer.
This could never end. He could make movies for
the Uber driver. You know what's funny? Now I want to see all these movies. Let's make this happen. It's not that hard. Just like put him in a position where he's doing his regular job. Something bad happens, and now all of a sudden, secret agent Jason Statham has to kick butt. Let's do that every single time. You know, you can just do that every movie, rinse, repeat, and just make millions and millions of dollars.
They'll all show up to him, that's for sure. Well, and this beekeeper one is actually pretty interesting because he's like taking care of somebody's ranch or something like that. He's like the beekeeper on the ranch, and apparently this like mega corporation like stole all her money, like tricked her on the phone into logging into her accounts and stealing all of her money. And like he goes and hunts him down. I like that. Get those bad oversight people.
One more thing about this movie is I was entertained by this movie. Doesn't take a whole lot to entertain me, to be honest. Explosions, one-liners, light comedy with, ass kicking is all I need for the most part. But one thing I actually liked about this movie, and also at the same moment really disliked about this movie, was the lore. It was like creating like this lore about the trench and the permafrost layer, whatever it's called.
But it was like wrong. They ruined the lore.
And that's the thing, is like you can see them creating a lot of movies about this premise and the things that can be underneath there that are prehistoric that we haven't touched, that couldn't get out because this layer of like super cold or whatever it is. But in this movie, they damaged the premise by literally weakening the premise.
Right. Yeah.
And it made it harder. And while I do want to see a Meg 3, where someone said in the chat where the E is the 3, where it just says Meg 3G, I want to see that really bad now, just for the title alone. I don't think we will.
I don't know if Jason will do another one. The Meg 2, I think it actually did pretty good, actually, worldwide.
It made money.
It made money.
Yeah, it made money.
So maybe there will be a Meg 3.
Maybe we'll get a Meg 3 where the E is a 3. Yes.
Because we love when we do that to titles.
Well, also, another thing that also bummed me out was, remember watching the trailer? Like, this was the trailer where it was like the T.
That was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool.
The T, it was like showing all the predators, and the T-Rex grabs something out of the ocean, and that's the little Meg minions that he grabs.
Yeah,
he grabs one of the Meg minions, and then like the giant Meg just like eats.
That was the best part of the whole movie.
That was the best part of the movie.
It was best part of the whole movie was that surprise. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Anyways, I know you can only do so much with giant sharks. Jaws was the
we went from that. We went from that to this.
Because those jet skis are really gonna outrun those sharks.
Right. All right. Next up is more ridiculousness, and this
we're in the top 5.
We're in number 4 right now, right? Yeah, we're
4,
in number
3,
4.
2, 1. Yep. All right, top 4.
This is number 4 of the worst movies of the year. And to be clear, when we say worst, it's also a little bit more like disappointing. There's a lot more to it than just like, oh, this was a bad film. Because there was worse movies in this, as like, honestly, like Terrifier 2 and like.
Well, yeah, there were, exactly. We're talking about blockbuster releases. We're talking about major releases. So if it was a Thursday night release in the theater, then these are the ones that we're looking at. And also some of the big streaming service releases. So,
right. So yeah, well, because obviously there was worse movies in these, quality wise and probably story wise and a lot of other ways, independent releases or whatever.
Yeah, there's tons of movies. I mean, obviously I saw 52 movies this year.
But these are the movies that had all the right pieces, all the resources to be good, and couldn't quite pull it off. And number 4 on our list is Fast X, because it's all about family.
And we do. I know Rec Thought said, how bad can Meg 2 when you had so much fun talking about it? Because I think Brian really enjoys these movies, and it makes me kind of laugh and kind of see the ridiculous side of the movie as well. Like, I watch him and just go, I mean, some of it's interesting and fun, but unfortunately I like to go to movies so that I really want to like every movie I go see. And unfortunately, Jason Momoa just ruined this damn movie for me. Like, I could watch a Fast and Furious movie and accept it for what it is, but Jason Momoa being this completely, like, it was almost like watching one of those, what's those movies where like the Starving Games or Naked Gun, like a parody movie. This felt like a parody James Bond movie to me. Like he was like a parody James Bond villain, and it was so bad that it made it hard to watch it for me.
Look, yeah. So that's one thing for me. I can get a lot of enjoyment out of these like more ridiculously sort of logical, makes no sense logically movies. Because especially when they're franchise films, because you can see, when things don't make sense and how they just sort of ignore them and don't really care and they lean into the silliness. I do get a kick out of movies like that. Well, see, but I can also recognize that they're bad movies. Like they're not.
Yeah, so there's movies made for that. They're spoof movies, like somebody said here, the spoofs. They're spoof movies that are supposed to do this, but then when you make actual movies, they're not supposed to be spoofy. They're not. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, do you think it was an accident, or what do you think happened with Momoa?
Spoofs go too far, though. I think with Momoa in this movie, by the way, I find it hilarious that in the official artwork for Fast X, they use a shot of that is clearly from Aquaman and not Dante. It's not Dante from Fast X. Like this is an official poster for that is clearly Aquaman. He even has the gold armor on, bro. Yeah. But he played Dante in this movie, and I think what happened was these directors have to stop being like, "Hey, man, we love you. You're great. Just do you," because that's not working. Stop letting. And I love Jason Momoa, okay? But stop letting Jason Momoa just be Jason Momoa. He has to play a character.
Yes.
Give him the character to play, give him his motivation, and make him play that character. Because when act. Right, when he's just playing himself, it's like you could tell. And Dante was so ridiculous. He was like Joker times 17.
It was so weird.
It was so over the top. I mean, it was parts
of it.
And
he was a gay guy, and then he was I don't know. It was
parts of it were really funny, but I'm not sure it was meant to be funny. When he's talking to those dead guys, and he's you think he's having a deep conversation, and just some dude
Yeah, I think it was supposed to make him look terrifying,
right,
and crazy, but instead it came out jokey, and that's where the tone I think was weird.
Bro. When they're gonna first off, let's please just stop trying to put street racing back into Fast and Furious. We are beyond that. Let's divorce ourselves with the concept that this has to have street racing. We are now on the 11th film. We get it. It's no longer about street racing. You do not have to pigeonhole a street race in every one of these movies. We do not. We have, as the audience, we have accepted the fact that this is no longer about a couple street racers stealing stereos. And this is now about what I'm assuming is a superhero.
What is it about?
I think Vin Diesel's a superhero who's slowly making other superheroes and super spies, et cetera, saving the world, et cetera, et cetera. We don't have to have a street race, but that moment where they're in Brazil or somewhere in South America, and he rolls up. He's finding his buddies to help him find Dante, and Dante walks up, and he's a pacifier in his hair, bro. He's like, I gotta find a shot of this.
It is really ridiculous.
He has a pacifier in his hair. He's all of his boys. Pull out their guns and weird. They're right then. By the way, right then he could have solved the problem just by killing Dante. You have Dante right there. Here we go. Here it is.
Does he kill people?
I don't know.
Has Dom ever killed anybody?
Oh, I think he's killed people. Yeah. Is he? Yeah. So you have so his boys versus their boys, and they're we're gonna street race about it. And here's Dante with his stupid glasses. There's a pacifier hanging out of his hair. He's looking like he's a rave or something.
It's like Momoa coming from a layout.
No. This was just Momoa waking up in the morning and just putting whatever he put on whatever he can find in the props department. It was very obvious.
It's true.
and they had this whole really awkward conversation where they're both trying to be the badass, And they both come off just looking super silly. And then like, oh, they got to have a street race. We have to have a street race because that's what the movie's about. Street racing. Listen, we could have solved this problem. If Vin Diesel really is the hero, he could have just killed Dante right then.
Right.
Pop.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
In reality, and there's no basis in reality. And having a street race, that would have been cool if they would have like ended up in a street race. But the fact that they had like this standoff anyways, there's so much weirdness. There's actually another movie coming out. We'll see if there's any more after that because there's actually some trouble for for Vin Diesel. He's about to be canceled, I think, for allegedly sexually assaulting one of his assistants.
Good thing that Fast 11 is his last movie.
Is it really? Did he say it was his last one?
Yeah, it's the last. Well, no, he said that. Well, he said that before Fast X came out, but then when Fast X came out, they said, "Well, we're thinking about making Fast X a trilogy." And you're like, "Oh, of course you are, Vin Diesel."
Well, and here's what's. Of course. And here's what's messed up. If there's one person who complained about stuff he did, and if there's any truth to it, more will start coming out. I'm sure she wasn't the only assistant. That if this actually did happen, that it seems like she only worked there for 8 days. This seems to be a pattern. If it's true, we'll find out because more people will come out. If that's the case, Vin Diesel's done. That's just the way Hollywood works now. So.
You gotta give Jason Momoa props. Like, he has like the Aquaman tattoo. Like, that's a real thing. You can even see it in some of the shots on here.
I mean, we just like Jason Momoa. So let's be straight about it. We like Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
We don't like any of his fucking characters he's ever played. Right. Ronan Dax is Jason Momoa.
Ronan Dax. That's our guy.
Yeah, maybe when he was a Dothraki was his best acting. He didn't have to talk.
He didn't have to talk though. He just acted. He was just a big guy.
Yeah.
Here, look at this. When he just licks that person's face. Like, what the fuck?
He was clearly doing whatever the F he wanted to on this set.
He did whatever he wanted.
Whatever he wanted.
At no point did they even try to stop him. And like the way they talked about him during the marketing for the movie was like, Jason Momoa just goes all out, man. He's like a terrifying villain. He out-jokers the Joker, all this stuff, right? And like
that, yeah, we were waiting for that. Like, that was cool. Like, what he did? Yeah, no, he didn't. He Leslie Nielsen Naked Gun.
Dude, the funny part is, imagine being Jason Momoa and being like, yo, I just spent the last year just fucking with everyone on set and just doing whatever I wanted and just tangentially hitting my lines from time to time. And I got paid $25 million.
I would have appreciated that comment.
He goes, listen, I licked Vin Diesel's head on camera. And they left it in the movie.
Why not? Why the hell not?
Oh, God. You know what's funny, though? I still enjoyed the movie.
I know. I appreciate that you did. And I love talking with you about it, even if I didn't really enjoy the movie that much.
Yeah, I still enjoy it. The best part of the movie, hands down, the best part of the movie. I'm going to tell you guys the best part of Fast X, and if you've seen it, you're going to remember this and you're going to agree. You ready? When they're at their grandma's house, the abuelita's house. What race?
Abuelita.
What race is Vin Diesel? I don't even know anymore. He speaks Spanish. He's got a black son and a white brother.
He's got a white brother. He's got a white kid at one point.
At one point his kid was white, then it was Mexican, now it's black. And then his brother is clearly a German white guy. He's like 7 foot tall. Right. He speaks Spanish and he calls his grandma Abuelita, and you're like, where are you from, bro?
Just tell us where you're from. He's an everyman, Brian. He's an everyman.
But the best part is when he's talking to Letty, his wife, girlfriend, whatever, and they're in their room and they're talking about his wife, and they're talking about how they got married. And they're in their Abuelita's house, and the camera pans, and it shows a picture of their wedding. it shows a picture of the wedding, and everyone's in white or whatever. The camera pans over, and you see Vin Diesel, and he's sitting there with white pants and a white wife beater at his wedding.
The wife beater at the wedding, dude. Everyone's
in white, bro. They're all wearing regular, but he's got a wife beater. He's a tank top, a white tank top.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. That says all you need to know about everything.
Oh man, I wish I could find a picture. It comes up.
It shouldn't be hard at all.
Oh, not hard. Yeah. Here we go.
Well,
he's wearing.
Are you sure this isn't a parody? It's a parody movie, right?
No, bro. She has like a full wedding dress on. He's wearing a wife beater. I remember when the camera showed that, I started laughing uncontrollably, and my wife was just like, "Shut up! It's supposed to be the serious moment."
Yeah, we should be clear on the movies. Like these are bad movies, badly made movies. But I guess there is maybe some enjoyment factor in some elements of it.
Yeah. I want to go back and watch that movie now.
I don't. No, I don't. It's fun laughing with you about it, but I don't ever want to see it again.
I can't wait until the next movie where he has like a full-on back tattoo. Like someone said in the chat, where it just says "Mi Familia" or something. Okay, man. All right. That was number 4.
Enough of the fast act.
That was number 4. Next up. Number 3 on our list was, let's pull it up here, Ant-Man Quantumania.
You know, I really like in almost everything he does. I really like Paul Rudd, and he's going to be in the new Ghostbusters movie again, which I'm looking forward to partly because he's in it. I've always liked Evangeline Lilly. She was awesome in The Hobbit and some of the other stuff she's done. Michael Douglas, of course. Michelle Pfeiffer. You can really ruin a movie with, your intentions for the movie, with the messaging that you're trying to. And this was the first movie of the year where we got women are in charge and men need to go sit in the corner and suck their thumb. And it became very evident in the Mary suing that happened with his daughter, Casey Lang, and who, by the way, I think she played Catherine Newton, who is his daughter in this movie, was actually fantastic in another movie that came out. What's the one with Vince Vaughn where he's the serial killer?
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
That was a really good movie, by the way.
Yeah, that was a Blumhouse. It was another Blumhouse movie.
But anyways, she plays the girl in that movie. She's the SWAT person with Vince Vaughn, and she plays a really great serial killer. And in this movie, she just played basically she got the suit and she already knows how to kick ass, which really sucked for this movie. Quantumania.
It was called Freaky.
Freaky, yeah, really good movie. That was a good movie.
Yeah, I liked this movie a lot.
Did it come out this year?
No, it came out 2020. It says.
Oh, okay.
I didn't see it until earlier this year.
Good movie, though. Good movie. But this movie was not good. Not only did they screw up MODOK and a bunch of other things into the quantum, a lot of elements of it, but Paul Rudd spent the entire movie being one-upped by everybody else. And I'm sorry, you just don't do that to your superheroes. Like, the whole point is that Paul Rudd is Ant-Man. The movie is an Ant-Man movie.
Right.
needs to be the hero, and he just wasn't over and over and over again. The premise, the idea for the movie into the quantum, it was a cool idea. Like, going into the quantum realm and having like this whole different universe to explore was probably the coolest idea for any of the superhero movies that came out this year. But they just failed on so many levels by completely, cucking the main character over and over and over again.
Yeah, but logically, a lot of things didn't make sense either, too. Like
there were logic issues.
A lot of logic issues. They kept using the word dick like just over and over and over again,
which was weird, man.
It was so weird. What is your obsession with the word dick?
It didn't fit the movie. Once again, I'm taking my kids to see a superhero movie.
Dick.
Yeah,
just constantly with that word. Again, we're not we're not prudes at all. It's we are
but it's
taking
a family movie.
It's supposed to be a family movie. We're taking our kids and like obsession with the word dick. It's like every 5 minutes you're saying dick in some way.
Even say it a couple more times so we can get demonetized.
Even when MODOK came out, it's like, why are you being such a dick? And I'm like, oh god, here we go. And MODOK, like that character, it was like you could have made that character so cool. Like you made all these other cool characters that were quantum realm characters. You could have made that character cool. You could have really honored people that love that character, and you made him silly and stupid. And I understand he was already sort of a silly character, but he was silly and terrifying. This was just he was just a bad character.
And this was supposed to be the unleash for the Kang the Conqueror, with Jonathan Majors playing the role, which I don't think he was completely awful in it, but I just think they didn't do a good job kind of fleshing it out. And then we got this, I know where they wanted to go, which is they're not going to go now, since Jonathan Majors got in major trouble.
Yeah. There goes the Kang dynasty. Like that's not happening.
So that was it. So this is kind of feels like now it's going to feel like a one-off movie, unless you looked at the streaming service show. What was he in?
Loki season 2.
Yeah. So I mean, any movie that you have Bill Murray in, and Michael Douglas, it's like there's high expectations for it, and I think this movie just missed it on all levels. And it's mostly besides being a bad movie, it had bad messaging, and it was a huge disappointment, I think. So that's why it's number 3.
Yeah, massive disappointment. Number 3 for me too. And the graphics were sort of not good. A lot of logical issues had me like sort of sitting there scratching my head. I didn't know how it worked. Like they're supposed to be like tiny, the atomic level, but yet things that didn't make sense in this movie. It just didn't make sense. Bottom line.
It's hard to get the science right all the time on these, but you got to do the best you can.
And then the end credit scene with all the Kangs, like that's supposed to be something that is supposed to like get
Council of Kangs.
The Council of Kangs. We're supposed to be interested in that in some way, and I just found myself thinking this is stupid. Like I actually found myself thinking I don't want to see. Like I hope they don't go forward with the Kang thing. And for everything happening, it's a bummer for everyone involved with Jonathan Majors, but I'm sort of stoked that they're gonna completely phase out this whole bad idea of the Kang Dynasty. It did not work.
I'm kind of hoping they just shut down Marvel altogether. Let's just not make any Marvel movies. Let's give a 5-year hiatus. We don't make any Marvel movies. No chance that happens, but it would be better for the franchise if they just walked away from it for a while.
It wouldn't be a bad idea, actually.
Yeah. So number 3 was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
And number 2, another Marvel movie.
You were the worst spoiler guy.
I'm still pretty bad at this.
We all know what number 1 is already.
Number 2 is The Marvels. And I gotta say, this poster art is so horrible. They even made even the poor little girl looks bad in the poster art. Let me find you a better shot. This is the movie. This movie was so really poorly done. And I don't think this time it wasn't like Brie Larson's fault. Like the story doesn't even make sense half the time.
Well, it's partly her fault. So you're right. So let's talk about the one bright thing in this. There's only one bright thing in this, and I think that was the performance by Iman Vellani, who played Kamala Khan. She actually had her character was good, and I felt like it was accurate. It kind of made sense. It was kind of funny. The problem with this movie was, you're right. A lot of people want to say, oh, you don't like the Marvels because you don't like Brie Larson. Listen, Brie Larson, besides the fact that she has almost no personality, she might be a fine human being, but she just has no charisma. She's a good looking girl that they threw in the movies, but she's a terrible actress. And and there's no cohesiveness with her in between with other characters. She comes across frothy and cold, and she shouldn't be cast in these movies, quite frankly. And in this movie, one of the biggest problems was they didn't know what they wanted to be. Were they a serious movie? Were they going to be a funny movie? They go back and forth with this weird comedic tone. I mean, the stuff that they did with Samuel L. Jackson in this movie, he basically just became a caricature of his character.
Right.
He was there solely for comic relief. And it was very weird. The story was broken up into so many different pieces. The motivation for the characters didn't make any sense. If they would have focused on like that power transfer thing, then it possibly could have been interesting. But overall, the movie is just a mess of a movie, like a mess.
When they finally had the chance to use the power transfer in like a unique way that would have tied the whole movie together, they just chose to completely forget about it. It was so weird.
Yeah, and they had like discount, villain, like knockoff villains from other characters in the Marvel universe.
It was the Wish version of Ronan, who was already the Wish version of Thanos.
Right. It's just, and the motivation for like, the fact that Carol Danvers is like trying to save these people. I mean, that was actually a really interesting idea, is the fact that she's trying to like save them from themselves. This computer's like controlling their world, and she thought destroying the computer would like that idea in itself would have been, might have been a cool movie, had you had a different actress and a whole different idea. But the fact that she's trying to like save these people, and then she ends up making their lives worse, and then they hate her, like that could have been a good movie if that had been the whole focus of the movie, and had been, done in that way. And you had a more interesting villain, and you had, it just really was a very weak movie, other than Iman Vellani's role. So, all I can really say about this is I had low expectations going into the movie, and it was pretty much just confirmed for me.
Yeah. I pretty much share everything, every opinion you just said, and I feel sort of sorry for Iman, because she clearly, was doing her best. She's clearly stoked to be there, and she was charming to watch, but the rest of it was just sort of bad. And I'm bummed out that Nick Fury is now like this shadow of what Nick Fury was supposed to, what we were shown that Nick Fury was in all of the previous movies. And they're just
such a great casting, Brian. Right. When Nick Fury first came out, and you realized it was Samuel L. Jackson, you're like, it's the best possible person who could ever play Nick Fury. It's like he's the guy. Like that's a perfect casting. And over time, he's become this flavor. He's been a flavoring to the dish for each of these movies, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And same exact thing too. I also went into the movie with very, very low expectations, and there was a couple, fun moments, but overall it was just a complete waste of my time.
100%. And so it would have been the worst movie of the year. It would have 100% been the worst movie of the year if this movie hadn't happened.
And some of you guys already saw that I screwed it up, but some of you didn't. So for the rest of you, this is hopefully a new revelation. The worst movie of the year. And again, this is factoring in theatrical releases, big budget, disappointments, not just like, that one indie movie your friend made, in February with his roommates while they were high. No,
let's give it a title. We have to have an award for this. Let's give it we have the Razzies. What do we call this?
Oh man, put me on the spot here. I don't know.
The Popcast.
No, because this is the first of its time.
Yeah.
It's the first. This is the first list we've ever made on the show in years now. Okay. We need to give it what it is. We should call it the Asteroids.
What?
We should the worst movie of the year will be called
Asteroids Earth.
Yes, it will be called the Asteroids in honor of the worst.
Let's call it the giant asteroid.
Yes, the giant
meteor or something like that.
Well, whatever. We'll figure it out. But we'll figure out an actual term for this. We'll put it on the thumbnail.
The Asteroids. We'll call it the Asteroids.
The worst movie of the year gets the Asteroid Award is Asteroid City.
And just really honestly, directed by Wes Anderson. I'm a huge. I like Wes Anderson movies typically. The Fantastic Mr. Fox is one of is our family movie. Like, we quote it all the time. It's really fantastic. Asteroid City, I didn't know what the hell was going on in this movie the whole time. Like, it was so confusing. Like, I know Wes Anderson likes to do this stuff, but I couldn't follow the story. I didn't know what they were trying to accomplish. I didn't know it would go from they were on a state. Listen, and you guys know me. Like, I like that deep shit. I love movies that are slow and you're not sure what that there's a lot of acting and shit going on. I love that stuff. This didn't make any sense to me. Brian, did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it. And you know what's funny is I remember watching this and thinking, damn, Shane's probably gonna like this movie.
Oh, is that what you thought?
Yeah. I thought Shane's probably gonna like this movie, and I'm gonna be like sitting there being like, I don't know what you're talking about. And
look at all the people in it. Look at all the people in this movie.
I remember after we watched it, I messaged you and I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on with the movie. You're like, yeah, it's horrible. I'm like, thank God.
I mean, look at this. You got
I want to sit here and try to talk about this for an hour and a half when I hate it so much.
Well, I was looking forward to it so much because I do like Wes Anderson movies. You had Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks, Edward Norton, Bryan Cranston. You've got Liev Schreiber. You have all these incredible actors in it, and it just didn't make any damn sense. Essentially, these people go out to, they're traveling. They end up in this place called Asteroid City, where apparently there was a giant meteor impact, and somehow an alien shows up. And all of a sudden becomes like this gathering point, but you have all these people's stories. They go back and forth from it being a movie to it being a play, and they show that happening. Like, I just didn't get it. So I still don't get it. I looked it up. I still don't understand it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it has to be the worst movie of the year, because if you don't understand what happened when you watched a movie, it can't be good.
Yeah. And a lot of the people in the chat here, they expect at least, Killers of the Flower Moon to be on the list here. And the thing is,
Brian didn't make his list.
Well, I hated Killers of the Flower Moon, and I didn't make my list, but I don't know if I would have put it, because when I make these lists too, I'm trying to accommodate both of us too, not just what I like. Because the worst movie for me would have been Killers of the Flower Moon, but at least at least the plot was there. You could understand that movie.
You understood the story.
Yes, I hated it, and I hated the fact that it was 5 hours long, and I hated most of the characters, and I hated the story, but I understood the story. Like, you understood it. Like, this is why when I saw it, it's like, this actually makes complete sense, because this movie didn't make any sense. So you wasted your time, and you couldn't sort of figure anything out. It was like the definition of like a weird art exhibit where you're not meant to understand it. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's a good way to put it. Let me read it to you what it's supposed to be about. Okay, ready? Tell me if this is what you got from it. Following a writer on his world-famous fictional play about a grieving father who travels with his tech-obsessed family to small rural Asteroid City to compete in a junior stargazing event, only to have his worldview disrupted forever.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I didn't get it either. I still don't understand it.
Maybe if like we took some like edibles before watching this movie.
I mean, you'd have probably a different experience. I'm sure. Right? You may not still understand it. But
what if you chalked a couple gummy bears and then walked into this movie about 20 minutes after the fact, and you'd probably really like this movie, right? You'd probably be laughing your ass off like the whole time.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum played the alien, and then like, why? Because the alien doesn't say anything. You know what I mean? Like Jeff Gold. They went out of the way. Jeff Goldblum is the alien.
Yeah, we gotta. Can we stop? Can we stop spending millions of dollars on an actor that everyone knows, but then you don't actually use the actor? Like it's like Martin Short as King Fish, and you're like, how? How? It's an animated character. You distorted his voice beyond recognition. So how would you even know that that was Martin Short?
Right.
You know, like, why do you need Vin Diesel to play Groot? Do you need that? No. Anyone can play that role. Anyone. And then he tried again. These people, they try to like make them. They try to justify their hiring by being like, yeah, we came up with a whole language for Groot. Every inflection of "I am Groot" it means something different. Like, shut up, Vin Diesel. You didn't do that. We know you didn't do that. So yeah, like, stop hiring. Stop inflating your budget with a name, with getting these big names, and then completely hiding the fact that they're in the movie. They don't speak. Nothing is based on anything that is remotely close to their likeness. It just drives me nuts. When I heard that Martin Short was Kingfish, I was stoked.
Yeah, but you didn't get to see him. So looking at the Rotten Tomatoes for Asteroid City, I mean, listen, they're all lying. I just want to point out here, like you don't want to. No one wants to say that a Wes Anderson film is bad because you don't really know. Like, all these people are in it, so it's got a 75% on the tomato meter, so it's certified fresh, and the audience score is 62%. And I just think that people don't want to look stupid. That's why I think they're putting, oh, that's fantastic. Wes Anderson's vision is incredible. Like, what was his vision, guys?
What was the vision? Yeah, what was the vision?
So
maybe they all just got high.
Yeah. So that is our Asteroid Award winner for this year, 2023. And of course, we'll be back next year as we'll be following all the movies in 2024 and beyond. So, and
we're going to remember this from now on. The worst movie of the year will be called The Asteroids.
The Asteroid.
And you know what? And depending on what our best movie of the year was, maybe that will end up being the name for the award on Friday. Because this Friday, we're going to do the best movies of 2024.
Oh, I don't want to say anything, but that would actually be a cool name.
Would it? Okay, well, don't say anything.
Yeah.
Listen, this would be a very difficult. The best movie list is going to be much harder than the worst because there was such slim pickings this year.
Well, even if there were slim pickings, they're still the 10 best movies of the year, even if maybe you didn't like it so much.
Cool. That's fair enough. Okay. And this coming year, I'm going to be holding carrying my own list so that Shane and I will be able to merge those lists and average them into a overall list.
Or mirror them. I don't want to average them. It's going to be yours and mine. We are so polar opposites on movies. It would be weird.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on Asteroid City being the worst movie.
Oh, okay. Well, we got that.
Yeah, after looking at the list, I would have been like, that's the worst movie.
I would be curious to see your bottom 10 list.
Well, Killers of the Flower Moon.
You should look at my list and pick your 10 worst movies.
Killers of the Flower Moon is 100% close to the bottom of that list. Okay. So is Barbie. So is 65. Meg 2 and Fast X, not so much. The Marvels, Ant-Man and the Wasp, 100%. I would say the only thing I wouldn't put at the bottom of my list. I wouldn't put Meg 2, Fast X, and Totally Killer at the very bottom of the list. But the rest of those are pretty much spot on, dude. Right. And the only reason I wouldn't put them on the bottom of the list is because I got entertainment value. But they're not good movies. They'd be in the middle of my list somewhere. Like, okay. I might want to go back and watch Totally Killer or Meg 2, again, just for the funds.
Fair enough. All right. Well, so we'd love to hear what your guys' favorite movies or your worst movies were of the year. Let us know in the comments below. And of course, we can also talk about it in the member section coming up.
What Archmage says you put Shazam on the list over The Genie. I don't think I saw The Genie.
Is The Genie a movie?
Oh, there is a movie called The Genie.
Was it a major release?
Oh, it was a Peacock original.
Well, we didn't catch it. We didn't get all them.
Yeah, sorry, bro. We didn't catch the Peacock original starring Melissa McCarthy called The Genie.
I got to tell you, I mean, I did see 52 2023 release movies. That's basically one a week, which is really more than my time can afford anyway. So, yeah.
What's funny is seeing the trailer here for this. So I don't want to watch it. But I don't like Miss Melissa McCarthy very much. I've never liked her. I think that she's not. Everyone says she's funny, and I don't think she's very funny. I just don't think she's very funny.
Wasn't she in that Girl Busters movie?
Yeah, she was in Girl Ghostbusters.
We don't call them Ghostbusters. We call them Girl Busters.
The Girl Busters. Hey, speaking of which, it looks like the gifted memberships are not counting toward the stream hero. I don't know why, but we did get one gifted membership from Yoran Falth. Thank you, Yoran. I really appreciate that. We're trying to pump up our membership numbers because what we plan to do is this coming year is to really put a lot of members content out there, not just the show at the very end, but we want to add more clips and videos that we really couldn't talk about, that we didn't feel were appropriate for the main channel or this channel. We want to add those to the member sections.
Well said, brother. All right. So what do we got next?
We're talking about that merger, bro. And we're going to talk about it briefly. But I do want to speak about it briefly because what it would mean for some of our favorite IPs like Star Trek and Survivor, I guess, in a less important way.
If you care about it.
I mean, yeah.
Survivor is never going anywhere, bro.
No,
that show will last forever.
It's not. I actually think that Survivor, if Warner Brothers did manage to merge with Paramount, then I think Survivor would get better because Discovery that owns Warner Brothers is very good at making what's it called?
Reality
TV. Thank you.
Well, the trouble with shows like Survivor is that they've done almost everything they can do. Like, it's hard to change the game at this point after you've done so many seasons. Like, how do you make it fresh and new? They used to do a cool thing where you didn't know where in the world they were going to put them to survive.
Right.
And so I think the third season or the fourth season, they put them in Africa. Right. So they were actually in Africa to survive, but there were lions.
Right.
And I think that scared the shit out of everybody because lions were getting close and they were like hanging out there.
Let's get them out of Africa. Come on.
Yeah.
Guys.
And then they just left them in the islands for the rest of they were in the South Pacific for every other show forever. After that.
It's like the Fiji Islands. And the reason is because there's no like tribes that are like going to like kill you. They're pretty isolated. There's so many of those little islands, like you can literally like just rent, large swaths of them every time you do it. And like the worst thing you have to deal with on the Fiji Islands, like the worst predator is like flies. Like, it's a relatively safe place to be, and they can build these elaborate sets and keep them for long time. They don't have to constantly tear them down. We're going on like season like 45 or something of this show.
And it's not even real seasons. Like, what happened to a season being a year? So now they do like two shows a year. And so it's not really a season. I hate it when they do that.
You're right. Yeah. And they even made it worse where they shrunk it from like 43 or 42 days or whatever to like 22 days. They cut it in half. And they have this new thing where Jeff what's his name? Probiotic.
Provost.
Whatever his name is. Jeff Probiotic. Probst. He was like, as a commitment to diversity and inclusion. Now, we will guarantee that at least 75% of our cast members will be African American, minority groups, and at least half of our cast members will be part of the LGBTQ, whatever.
Wait, how about you do it this way? Okay. If you're talking about the United States, right? Why don't we do it this way? We'll just do a cross section of the population. So if you got 10 people on the show, you're going to have probably 5 white people, right? 2 Latinos, 2 blacks, and an LGBTQ. There you go.
They already did that though.
I mean, that's what it would be if people watching it. You know what I mean?
That was already the way it was.
Throw an Asian person in there. Toss out one of those white.
It was already the way it was. So now it's like, half of the contestants have to be some kind of LGBT something.
LGBT or just minority?
No. Like LGBT.
Oh.
And like 75%. I remember what the exact stats were, but like it was really upside down. Have to be part of a minority group, Black, Asian, whatever. And it shows because like, so you have like a whole like giant cast photo, whatever, and there'll be like two white guys
off by themselves on the side, like
one random white chick, and then like just a plethora of other people.
Yeah,
and it makes for way more dramatic because everyone is so emotional all the time. But then additionally, they had to shrink how long because people weren't making it past the 20-day mark.
They're like, I'm done. I can't do this no more.
They can only find so many like, gay, Black, polygamy, people, whatever, that were willing to survive 42 days without rice,
Dude, they need to do something different. They need to put them like all down in like East LA, like have them survive 21 days in East LA right? With the homeless people, right? They should do some more real world survivor shit that people would watch that stuff. You ever hung out with some crazy ass homeless people?
This season on Survivor, we took 23
right?
And we put these 23 people in the heart of Compton with nothing but the clothes on their back and their wit. They must survive. And then the following season, like, we just dropped 23 people into Skid Row.
I've spent some time with some homeless people, man. They're interesting to hang out.
You have like Jeff. Jeff has to go. He's in there like one of those full on like riot suits to come do their confessionals.
Right. They're like massaging his head. Jeff looks really uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. they're at tribal, and they're just like Jeff Probst gets held up at tribal. Like they're like, hey, what you got in that jar, bro? They just take all his
like
stuff.
A tent in the background where they like just keep coming out like a clown car. They just keep coming out of it.
Some guy just shooting up.
It's a bunch of needles.
Everyone's afraid. They're like,
yeah, I'd watch that one.
I would watch the shit out of that.
Right.
I would watch that so quickly. Oh man, that sounds great. I really want to see that now. Someone's got to do a parody of that, dude. Survivor.
They should. Well,
Skid Row edition.
Yeah, they could do it.
Downtown Los Angeles.
Unfortunately, they would be like they aren't going to give into the narrative of the political narrative though, so they wouldn't do it.
What was that? There was a comedian that was like, we're so arrogant over here that we made a show called Survivor where we have to survive for a month in someone else's country.
Well, that's true, but you're not used to surviving on the beach though, with very little food. So I get it. Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about this murder some more. We just turned, this is like old school turned into like our old show when we first started. We started the show on Survivor, I think.
We did. We started talking about Survivor. Yeah.
Let's not get back into that. So the question is will Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Paramount merge? That's the real question. So what's happening? Paramount is broke. That's it. Bottom line. But Paramount is not owned. Paramount has a boss. So, they're actually owned by somebody. And the fact that if there was a merger, that's why I'm telling you there wouldn't be a buyout. I don't think that their parent company would allow them to be completely bought out because the parent company isn't struggling with financially. So they could bail out their company if they really wanted to.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What would happen if, would that just would Paramount Plus, do you think Paramount Plus would just, all of its content just be merged into Max?
So they would become one app, is my guess.
Like the way Discovery and HBO Max became Max.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It'd be a merger. So National Amusements owns Paramount. National Amusements owns a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's actually a privately owned movie theater operator and a mass media holding company. And they own a bunch of stuff here. They own CBS, they own Paramount, they own
how would they
all kinds of like foreign cinemas, cineplexes, lots of properties. So they're not in financial trouble.
No, but you know who is in financial trouble? Discovery, Warner Brothers.
Well, they are to some degree, but not as bad as Paramount.
Really?
Paramount's in a lot of trouble. Why don't you read some of the article?
Yeah, okay. This is what it says. History has proven time and time again when studios are consolidated, it's the audiences that suffer. This week, Axios broke the news that Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount were looking into some sort of merger. It would make sense. Warner Brothers Discovery is trying to become a content behemoth, and Paramount would give the company even more content plus a grouping of popular, as they can be in this age, broadcast and cable TV channels. It would further secure Warner Bros. Discovery's control over tentpole IP, allowing it to serve as even more as an even more potent rival to Netflix and Disney. However, I'm stopping. I'm not reading right now. You know, they're giving up their tentpole IPs to Netflix. So like if they're trying to control tentpole IPs, like I don't know, the DCU, why are you handing over all your DCU movies to Netflix?
Because they need the money. That's it. Bottom line is they're not getting enough money from subscriptions, so Netflix is willing to pay premium because Netflix doesn't have enough of its own content. They have to buy other people's content. So it's a matter of, well, how much can we earn? You know, is like, give me an example of one of the movies over there.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So how many new members or new subscribers are we going to get because we have Suicide Squad on our platform versus Netflix giving us, you know, whatever, $20 million.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
To run it for a while. And that's why that's happening.
Right. They go on to say it would also be very bad for all of us who just want to watch some shows after work or school. In 2023, we finally saw the future envisioned by these companies behind the streaming services we all use. It is not a world where shows and movies are readily available. Fan favorites get attention they deserve, and aggressive competition keeps prices low. Instead, we got a perpetually rising prices, disappearing content, and abrupt, poorly messaged cancellations. And that's very true. You know, one reason to keep some of these streaming services for me was I want to go back and watch Modern Family whenever I want to. I want to throw on Star Trek Voyager when I'm going to sleep. I want to, you know, watch episodes of The Office. I want to go back and watch content that I know is going to be entertaining, even if I'm just putting on in the background, whatever. And with things missing, I also want to go back and rewatch seasons of television that I haven't seen for a while. Like I want to go back and, you know, watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point, right? Mm-hmm. Or you know, Curb Your Enthusiasm, whatever. I want to go back and like re-binge something that I know is great that I haven't seen for a long time. And like these things are slowly just disappearing. Even if you buy them, on, say, Amazon, like their licensing can be lost and you will lose access to the things you purchased. It is not this is a completely right. The prices are going up and content is randomly disappearing for no reason. At least no reason that we can understand as the commoner.
That's a good point. And, you know, just going back to some of this national amusement stuff here. So I was wrong. Actually, they might actually be in financial trouble. The problem with national amusements is that they are a private company. So while Paramount is traded publicly, National Amusements is actually private. And it looks like in September, There was a story that came out in the Wall Street Journal. It talked about how they paid 20% of their outstanding loan to its creditors, but they had to have back in July, they had to have a discussion with their creditors to negotiate lower settlements in money that they owed. So it seems like National Amusements is also having some trouble since it's sold a lot of its movie theaters to like AMC and some of the other theater companies. So there may be some more trouble deeper into it than we realize, making a merger with Warner Brothers something more likely. I mean, if you think about it, if you have all of these different IPs available in one place, you're much more much more likely to buy an app, but you're going to end up spending more money. So that's something that they're not considering. Like, how much are you going to charge? What's the price going to be to get Max and Paramount on the same platform, right? So you get all of your CBS, your Paramount, and your Warner Brothers, your Max, your HBO. What happens when you put all that together? You're talking about, probably spending $30, $40 a month, right?
Well, it's like HBO was $15, Discovery was $8, Paramount's, $11 without ads, $8 with.
So add it all together.
You add all that together, yeah, you're talking about $30.
Because that's what's going to happen with these streaming companies. The more they combine and merge, the more we're going to pay.
Until eventually you're just paying the normal cable prices.
Cable bill. Yeah. Which I feel like I'm already doing. I feel like I have enough. I have enough streaming. I've got 5 kids who all want to watch stuff on different streamers. And they're like, well, how come we don't have Hulu? I'm like, because I don't watch Hulu. Well, I want to watch Hulu. Okay. Go find something else somewhere else. It's just, you end up in these really tough spots.
Right.
And what's with the sharing? Like, a lot of people, I know a lot of my kids, none of my kids are paying for. I have 3 adult children. They don't pay for their own streaming services yet. They're still using mine. At what point are some of these streamers losing money from the sharing? And how do they find a way to make it so that, inside maybe one household, you've got all the streamers, but people aren't sharing them between houses and afar apart? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that that's they're cracking down on that more and more. Like,
I haven't seen it. I know you say that, but what are they? I mean, I haven't seen any cracking down.
So the other day, I have our dad has Shay and I share a father, and our father has a profile on my Paramount Plus, and I have the lowest amount of Paramount Plus now. I have the one with ads. I noticed the other day that his profile was like the picture was missing. And so I went to go look at it, and I guess like the profile had not been logged into in a really long time. So they just knocked the profiles out that don't have any content. So instead of creating a million profiles, if no one ever logs into it for a long time, the profile just sort of disappears. And it's because he lost access to it. He went to go log in one day to watch some kind of Yellowstone thing or whatever it was, and it just didn't work. And how our dad is. He just didn't think anything of it, moved on to Netflix.
Yeah, but he could have simply asked you for the password again and relogged in, and it would have been fine. So my point is I wonder what do you do? They have to be working in the back end. All these streamers have to be saying, look, how do we figure out how to keep this sharing from happening?
Well, they do have the thing where it's it can only be used on certain IPs, like home IPs or whatever. I think Disney did something like that.
I haven't seen it though. So all of my kids are using it. They don't live in my house. So it's going to different locations. So it's not the same IP, all of my streamers. So at what point are they, they could be making more money if they could force you to watch it from only your home. Right. So what would they have to do that? You're the tech guy,
They would have to limit the IP to a certain amount of screens. So, if you have if it's running on this IP, it can't run at the same time on another IP. So the worst case scenario would be that if you wanted to watch Netflix at the same time as, Grace, it would only allow one of you to watch at the same time. It would give an error message or something.
Yeah, and that's not going to work for people who multiple houses. So what if they limited it to IP? right? And then you could request and listen, not that I'm saying they should do this. I'm just saying if they wanted to make more money and not have these problems. I mean, I'm sure Paramount might be doing better if their Star Trek was better, number one, but also if they, if they could get the money, if they're not sharing between households. So imagine if they could double up their subscriptions. See what I'm saying? So maybe you make it so that, this is your IP that your Paramount Plus is attached to. If you go, and the big argument is, well, if I go someplace else, if I'm on vacation, I want to watch my Paramount Plus, right? So maybe you get a one-time.
Well, they do have like I remember some of these. I think it was Disney or Netflix, or whatever, where you said you can like when you logged in from another IP, it would say like it would actually do a thing where it gave you like a 3-day vacation thing or something. They have ways that I feel like they're doing this where like if you log into your Netflix at a hotel or whatever, it'll be like, hey, for the next 24 hours, this is your vacation mode or whatever, which means it would probably disable your home IP for that 24 hours.
Interesting. Well, I was logged in up at Dad's place, which is 5-6 hours away. And I didn't even know I was still logged in over there. And people have been watching, the streaming that I had over there on like 3 of my streamers.
That's true.
So, and nothing, I didn't even know. So somebody changed one of the people.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I had the same problem. Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, I don't know, man. I know for a fact that some of these places are IP based, which means that like if you tried to watch it at the exact same time as someone else was logged in on another IP, someone would be kicked out. But I think it's such a rare occurrence that maybe just people don't notice.
I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I know it. I haven't seen it happen. So, I mean, that would be one way. And I'm saying this for like, how do we keep these companies solvent? Well, they need to make better content. But, as a person who has every streaming service, I'm pretty sure I have a subscription to every streaming service. Like I'm doing my job. So
you're doing your part.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah, but all your kids aren't doing their part.
Right, because they don't have to. And here's the way I look at it. Like I'm not going to tell them to go and get their own subscriptions. It's like if the IRS is going to give you a bunch of tax breaks, right? Why would you be like, yeah, I won't take those? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna do what what
people,
they allow you to do.
Yeah, every time people criticize like a politician, like he or she paid less in taxes last year than they should have. Well, I mean, legally, or like, did they just like defraud the government, or are you saying that they use all the available tax laws to avoid paying as much tax as possible? If that's the case, I'm not mad at them, bro. Hate the game, not the player. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. So I'm also not 100% sure that even if Warner Brothers Discovery could buy Paramount or do some sort of merger, that things would get better, because I'm not convinced that Warner Brothers is doing it right yet.
Right.
So, there's a lot to be determined, just because, could somebody save Star Trek and make it better? Honestly, I don't know at this point, because Hollywood is really such a mess altogether. I'm not certain if Warner Brothers would even say, hey, let's give Star Trek, if we buy Star Trek, we buy Paramount. Okay, go get that guy Terry Matalas and just hand him the keys to the Star Trek kingdom and see what happens. I don't know if anybody could do that yet. So there's not confidence that things would get better for Star Trek in the event that Warner Brothers took it over.
Right. All right.
And we don't know what's going to happen, so it's all up in the air.
Yeah, that's it. All right, so we're moving on. We have one last thing. We're going to be talking about the Weekly Weird, and this is a fun one, or not fun one, however you want to look at it. So I purposely went out of my way to find ones that had video attached to it.
Okay.
And the three I had, and I could tell you the three, but I've already picked the one. The three I had was a Texas man dressed up as clown and nominates himself as the energy CEO after a week of outages, says he is the most qualified.
What is with these long ass headlines?
I don't know. Here's another long one. Wayne State discriminates against student who wanted to be a gym teacher because of his weight. He was over 400 pounds.
What?
And here's the shortest one, and the one I'm picking. Doctor suspended for punching patient in the face during surgery.
Okay.
And this is the one I'm picking.
All right.
Because it's the funniest one.
Tell us the other two.
Well, basically a 400-pound a 400-pound plus student wants to be a gym teacher or whatever. Yeah. And he had passed all the required physical test. And even though he's a really big, giant guy, he passed all the tests. He should be able to apply for the job. And they don't want to give it to him because it's like a bad example to set when your teacher is like 425 pounds. Right. Yeah. And
run some laps.
And so they have all these PT requirements that you have to pass in order to become a gym teacher, but they don't expect the 425-pound man to actually get through them all, and he did. And they're like, oh, you can't
give him the job.
Yeah,
or make the requirements harder.
Right, or make the requirements harder. Yeah. And the other one was basically because Austin, Texas is going through more energy troubles. Some guy addressed the council in full clown makeup and says he should be the new energy counselor because he's the most qualified.
I like that one.
All right.
Let's hear about the punch in the face.
So the Weekly Weird today is doctor suspended for punching patient in the face during surgery, and I have a video that goes with it. This is the headline. Actual act of surgery. Apparently, by the way, she's done this multiple times.
Oh.
Here we go. Watch her.
What the fuck?
Wait, it's so random, right? Just out of nowhere, man.
Listen, you want to make sure you're not like having sex with somebody else's significant other before you go in for surgery. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Right.
So what the I'm now terrified to have surgery. What just happened?
Yeah, so am I. It's not the first time, by the way. All right, so it says Chinese authorities have initiated an investigation after a video of a doctor punching a patient in the face during surgery went viral. It said, Era China, the hospital's parent group, took notice of the incident and immediately suspended the doctor and the hospital CEO. The surgeon punched the 82-year-old woman patient at least 3 times in the face during a surgical procedure. According to the media reports, the incident occurred in 2019, but the video recently surfaced on social media, whatever. Oh, I can't show you the rest of these things. But, sorry, I can't show you because it's making me want to pay for it, but I'll tell you the brief version. After investigating, they've gone back and discovered this woman apparently has a tick where when she gets frustrated during surgery, she punches the people in the face that she's working on.
Oh my God. So it's medical. It's a medical problem.
Oh yeah. It's 100% a medical thing.
Wow.
Where this surgeon, when she gets frustrated or anxious during a surgery, she just starts punching the patient. And this is the first time she got caught. But now that they're investigating that, they've found that she has done that a few times.
I mean, hold on a sec. Is she fucking alone when she's doing these surgeries? Like I've seen a lot of TV shows. Isn't there usually more than one person in there?
Well, I mean, look, it looks like...
Was there somebody else in there?
Looks like there's a guy there's someone off here, off to the left.
I can't see. Really.
And it looks like there's someone down here to the bottom right is going to put something on the... Nope. I guess it's just a sheet. So I guess she's sort of just... Oh, yeah, there's one person.
Does it quick or something?
No, someone pops into frame here. Let me show you. Someone pops into frame as she's punching them. Ready? To hold the person down. So there's other people
there's collusion.
Other people are certainly aware of this malpractice.
Oh, where's this at? Is that in China?
It's somewhere in China, yeah.
Hey, listen, guys. That just tells you all you need to know. Like, if you're living in China, you're definitely living under authoritarian whatever. You're definitely
authoritarian rule.
Authoritarian rule. When it's like commonplace, I just beat the shit out of my patients. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, dude, if that happened here in the United States, oh my God, there's just no way.
You know, the funny thing is that apparently a lot of these people, other people have had the same, and when they went back and discovered that she's done it multiple times, people like wake up with bruises or whatever, and they just think it's normal from surgery.
Jesus Christ.
Imagine that.
Imagine, it would be kind of cool as if like all of them were like, you know, like government officials, part of the Communist Party. Like she was jacking them up while they were sleeping. Then she'd be a hero.
Yeah, right. Imagine she has Tourette's.
I don't think Tourette's includes punching.
I don't know. I think it's something like someone said Tourette's in the chat. I think there is like Tourette's with like, you know, tics.
Oh, okay.
They have some kind of physical manifestation.
Well, I got to give it to you. That was definitely a weekly weird.
Right? Okay. All right.
Good.
We're closing out. We are going to the members section. We're going to end this stream and start up that second stream. If you are already in the Prime section, that's already going, and we'll move over there to get the chats. If you were not a member, then you can become a member quickly by clicking on the join button and joining us for the entire show, where we do even more show on the end of this of our regular show, and we're a little more laid back. We get a little more, free with our language, and I often take my clothes off if that's something that you're interested in.
Listen, no, if you tell them that, they won't come.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, never mind. I can stay completely fully clothed the entire time. Anyways, guys, we're going to the member section. We hope you join us. If not, then come back on Friday for our best of 2023. We didn't quite make it for the Stream Herald today, but I'm sure we'll do it on Friday. So, can't wait to see you guys in the member section. And again, if you're not joining us for the member section, that's cool. We'll see you on Friday at 10 a.m. for the best of 2023.
You know, we didn't get the super chat from No Money G before we got.
Oh, we didn't. You're right. I apologize, No Money G.
And thank you for that. But we have you got the gifted membership from You're on Fall. Thank you so much for that. And No Money G for $10. I feel that way about Donnie Darko. Kudos to those who love it, but I just don't get it. Watched it twice. Maybe it's me. Haven't seen Asteroid City yet. No Money G. I kind of feel the same way about Donnie Darko. I know you're not. Yeah, you're not supposed to you're supposed to love Donnie Darko. It's like a cult classic,
right?
But it's just a little bit of a weird movie.
Yeah, I don't fully get it either. Same with that other one, Southland Tales. I don't totally get that one either. Like there's I don't totally get like these. There's just too much going on. All right, guys. Thank you, No Money G.
And we had a couple of super chats in the member section.
Oh, okay. Let me go down real quick.
From John Burns for $2.79. Silent Night might have worked with Peter Stormare. Okay, probably because he's a good physical actor.
Mm-hmm.
And also Statham in Spy, the movie Face Off Machine, so good. Okay, I'll check. Thanks, John. Appreciate the super chats.
Oh, Peter Stormare, that's the guy who played wasn't he like the devil in yeah, he was the devil in Constantine. It was great.
No, I thought that was Peter. That was Gabriel Burns.
No. It was Peter Stormare.
Was it Peter? Okay.
Yeah.
Gabriel Burns was the devil in something for sure.
Oh, I'm sure he was. But yeah, in Constantine, that was a great depiction of the devil. Okay, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. We're going to the member section. Come on and join us if you can't. That's cool. We'll see you on Friday at 10 a.m. Till Friday or in the member section. I hope you have an awesome week. And that's it.
Love you guys. See you Friday.